Hi beauty, so I saw this hairstyle, loved it, decided to recreate it, so stay tuned to see the process. So I went ahead and started with my bleaching powder and developer, and I used the 30 volume developer to bleach the knots and just to lift it up. Afterwards I let it sit for about 30 minutes, and then I went to rinse it out and wash it out with the neutralizing shampoo and then the purple shampoo, just to get rid of some of the brassiness. So this is what it looks like after I finish washing it, and it gives scalp, but we're going to give it even more scalp. Next, I went ahead to Tinted lace, and I actually learned this step from Peak Mill. And basically you put the brown dye, mix it with hot boiling water, and you set the lace in for maybe about 10 to 15 minutes so it can get blend to the complexion of your skin. So here I'm just mixing the dye in with the boiling water until all the clumps are gone. And then I go ahead to set the lace in the water. And it's okay if the hair itself gets wet because it's quite fine. I'm going to end up going in and dyeing it anyways. But you just want to make sure the lace definitely gets a bit darker. So after tinting the lace, I did let it rinse it out and let it sit to dry for a little bit. And while it was drying, I went ahead to dye the bundles jet black. Okay, so using the same Kiss brand, this is the color jet black, and I just started from the weft and went all the way down to the ends, and I repeated the process for all 3 bundles and the frontal as well. Listen, don't be stingy when it comes to dyeing the hair. You gotta soak it in, make sure all the strands are soaked with the dye. You gotta flip it, turn it inside out, and get everything. Don't be stingy because you want it to really take in well. Okay, so after I finished dyeing all the bundles, I went ahead to put it in a plastic bag, and I let it sit overnight because I really wanted it to soak. And for the frontal, I did it differently because I did not want the dye to get on the lace. So I sprayed the Got2b glue spray on there just as if I was to lay it down on my, glue it down on my head. And you see it's kind of like crystallizing. That's how you want it. That way you don't get any dye on your lace. If you don't do that, then you are going to dye your lace, and you don't want that. So after making sure it was dry, I went ahead to dye the frontal, and I used a brush and got all the way to the roots. Afterwards, I let it sit overnight, and then I washed it out to air dry. Next, I took my dome mesh cap and placed it on my 20-inch mannequin. I'm using a 20-inch because that's the circumference of my head, and I just took the T-pins to secure the cap in place. Once I had the cap secured in place, this next step is very crucial. What you want to do is any excess space in the cap that you see, you want to take the pins and pull it so it can meet the base the top base of the cap where the where you'll see the thread, and then just secure it with the pins so you can sew it down. That way there isn't any excess space. Okay, I went ahead to sew the frontal on first. You always want to sew your frontals or closures first so you can, know what you're working with afterwards. I pulled it about a ½ inch off of the cap, and as you can see, it was a little lumpy, but that's okay. We're gonna fix that. The back, it's where it's at. So you want to make sure the back is the ribbon part of the frontal or lace is laid flat, and secure it with the pin so that when you go to sew, it does not move, because that's most important. If it moves, then your lace is going to end up being lumpy when you go to part, and you don't want that. So as you can see, it's laid down flat, and then I just go ahead to sew it down. Look at how the front is. Okay, if you see it like that, that means you're doing it right. So once you're finished sewing from end to end, it should come out looking like this. It's nice and flat, no bumps or lumps. And then I just, I like to use a nylon thread and a curved needle. It works best for me. So I just went ahead to braid the frontal and just, get the hair out of my way so I can begin to sew the bundles in. Now, what I like to do, a lot of people save this step for last, but I actually like to do it first. I like to take the last piece of the hair, which will be the first piece for me, and I marry it into the frontal. And as you can see, I've just followed the same pattern as the frontal from ear to ear. Once I finish sewing in the first piece of the hair, I went ahead to sew the bundles. I'm adding 3 bundles, so I single track them and space it about a ½ inch apart because I wanted it to be nice and full. If I was adding, let's say 4 or more, I would double the wefts, but I only used 3, and it came out very full. Once you get a technique, it's all about technique. So once you get a technique and you're in the flow, then this process can take you maybe 45 minutes to an hour, probably less. I'm still learning how. I haven't mastered the sewing machine, so for now, the hands, the hands will do. And I'm so used to doing it, it doesn't even take that long. Okay, so this is what it looks like midway through sewing. Do you see that? The technique. Do you see the straight lines? Do you see very demure, very consistent, very beautiful? But yes, no, and the hair is so soft. This is loose wave bundles, 3 loose wave bundles and a frontal. All right, so after sewing everything in, this is all that I was left with. And you never throw hair away, guys, because it can always be used for something else. So I just put her to the side, and I went ahead to comb the hair into a ponytail so that I can begin to cut it into the style that I want it to come out. Okay, so while I was in the middle of cutting, the camera died, so I'm still cutting, but I went ahead to finish the rest off camera so that when it came back on, I actually ended up finishing, and you will see the results so far. Okay, so this is how it looks after I finished sewing completely, and I did cut the top part of the cap off that was not needed, and this is the piece that I had cut off. So we're actually going to use that thick part of the band to sew onto the lace later on. Alright, so I tried on the wig just to make sure the fitting was secured and proper, and it is. So I wanted the part to be like extra crisp and deep and, you know, defined, like how it was in the picture, but still to my liking, and that's basically what I'm doing. You know, while the hair is on my head, I can actually see, like, envision how it's going to come out, and baby, we're gonna get the part right. So after finally parting, here we are. It may not look like much to you, but to me it means a lot because it gave what I wanted it to give. And you know what? We're going to define that even more later, but it gave. So right now what I did, I just went ahead to define the bangs even more, cut it in layers at an angle. And I cut the hair as well while it was on my head just to make sure everything was perfect. While cutting, like, I was able to actually see, you know, the flow of it, how it's gonna flow and bounce, and I was excited. I was very excited. Alright, so when I was completely finished cutting, I went ahead to take my Fenty Tinted Moisturizer in the shade 21 because that is my complexion. And I took my Real Techniques brush just to add the moisturizer onto the lace to give it even more of a blend to my skin. And you always want to use the closest foundation, tinted moisturizer, or powder to your shade. You don't want to do anything light because then the wig is going to look crazy. So you want to get as close to your shade as possible. Afterwards, I went ahead to set the tinted moisturizer with the Black Radiance Loose Setting Powder. And I was trying to locate the shade, but I was so tired that night. But the shade is called Cocoa Kisses. And I went ahead to set it. Okay, so here I am. I was curling and adding pins into the hair just to set the curls. I did it in sections, but I didn't spray too much of the spritz on there because I didn't want the curls to be hard. I wanted like soft, loose curls. And afterwards, I just let it sit overnight because I was wearing it, the next morning for church. And so it came out beautiful, but please forgive me. I did forget to show you how to sew the band onto the cap, but I can always make a video for that when I make the next wig. And because baby, I was tired. I was beat by the end of the day. And but everything came out perfect though. It came out perfect. Okay, so here's the moment we've been waiting for. This is the final product after curling and adding in the pins to hold the curls for the night. I went ahead to add a little spritz to it, just very lightly, and I added the flexi rod to the bang to give it more of a defined curl. And here I am the next day at church. Forgive me, I did not record this makeup tutorial, but let me know in the comments if you would like to see this tutorial, and I'll be more than happy to make a video for you. So I was really feeling myself, but it came out beautiful. I love it. I love it. I love challenging myself. And let me know what other videos you'd like to see, and I'll be more than happy to drop it for you. Thank you so much for watching, beauties. I'll see you in the next video. Bye.